Yo guys, what is going on? ItsJps back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to the single Australian farm that is bigger than 49 countries. I can't even say that with a straight face because of how ridiculous it is. Now, we've reacted to kind of the size of Australia and how there's a lot of the population on the coast, whereas in the middle, the outback, whatever you want to call it, there's some, farmers, and not much aside from that. You got the really dangerous road where it's easy to get distracted, or not get distracted actually, and completely lose focus, doze off, whatever the case may be. And you also have the enormous farms. Now, 49 countries. I know there are some small countries out there, but 49 countries and a single Australian farm. That is just insane to me. So I'm excited to see what this farm looks like and how this is even possible. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you have any specific videos you would like for me to watch, throw them in the comments down below. That wasn't a word. And let's get right into it.
Anna Creek Station is massive. Whether you describe it as a privately held piece of property or a ranch, it's the biggest one of those. It's as tall as the Netherlands, as wide as Wales, and basically every article about it adeptly mentions that it's bigger in total size than Israel. A perfect choice for comparison given that Israel's size is very constant and in no way subject to controversy. It also happens to be bigger than El Salvador, Belize, Djibouti, and literally dozens of other countries, but hey, all engagement is good engagement. While its size is surprising, Anna Creek's location isn't. Australia, it turns out, is absolutely littered with giant cattle stations. Clifton Hill Station is 6,650 square miles, right around the size of Eswatini. Alexandria Station is 6,220 square miles, also around the size of Eswatini. And the station, which is a restaurant in Warunga, is 0.00011 square miles, but apparently has, quote, no surprises, good or bad. So...
That's hilarious.
Why
dude.
is Australia overrun with a bunch of bovine micronations? Well, a lot of it is explained by taking a look at this map. Now, the first thing you'll notice when you look at this map is that a lot of it is very red, and if you're thinking that seems probably bad, great news, you're about one sentence ahead of me. A huge portion of Australia falls under the charmingly blunt distinction, hot desert. European settlers took one look at this desert, gave up, and declared it on this map as useless, overlooking the fact that indigenous people had managed to live off those lands for centuries, but they declared it on this map.
Oh my god. This is hilarious. Good. Fair. Bad. Good. Sparse. Useless. That is awesome. Oh yeah, it is true though. The indigenous population did
as useless,
find a way.
Overlooking the fact that indigenous people had managed to live off those lands for centuries, but they also took one look at some other bits of slightly less hot, slightly less dry desert and awarded it the distinction of sparse grazing lands. But even with its not useless designation, Anna Creek Station isn't exactly welcoming. It is sparse vegetation, only gets about 8 inches or 20 centimeters of rain a year, and can reach up to 131 degrees Fahrenheit or 55 degrees Celsius, a temperature scientifically known as very, very hot. And that's why the station's so big. Because the vegetation's so sparse, it just takes a massive area to give the cattle, in a good year about 17,000, enough to graze on. For comparison, King Ranch, the largest ranch in the US, is less than 1/7 the size of Anna Creek, yet supports about twice the number of cattle on its wetter, cooler, more vegetated landscape. So how does the farm the size of 147 Liechtensteins manage to operate? Well, the key...
I want to add something about the whole King Ranch thing in Texas. We literally have a truck and its name is King Ranch, because of that ranch. Crazy, but wow, it's only 1/7 the size of this one in Australia.
How does the farm the size of 147 Liechtensteins manage to operate? Well, the key, of course, is staff. And to operate a potentially Israel-sized piece of land, they employ a massive 11 people. 1 manager, 8 station hands, a plant operator, and a cook. Yep, 11.
What?
Many of whom are young and functioning apprentices called, and this is true, jackaroos and jillaroos. This enormous area is run by the same number of people as a somewhat busy McDonald's, largely thanks to technology. It operates its faraway water pumps remotely with UHF radio waves, and cattle are often located using low-flying plane runs and then rounded up by station hands on motorbikes instead of horses because motorbikes typically don't experience heat stroke. The staff primarily operates out of this single homestead, powered by a diesel generator and satellite internet connection. If you need to go to town, the nearest is here, Coober although to be honest, calling it a town is generous. It's got a population of just 1,762 people, and basically everyone lives in these crazy underground caves like they're in a mid-2000s YA dystopia. There's actually an even smaller town in the center of the property here called William Creek. It's got a little hotel, a pub, some campgrounds, and even what they claim is a 9-hole golf course, but what is more accurately 9 holes dug kinda far away from each other in the middle of the desert. But these facilities
Bro. Hey, at least there's a pub. Sign me up.
actually see decent business from tourists taking the treacherous trip to Lake Eyre. The hotel regularly sees most of its 53 rooms booked and is the core of the economy in the town with an official population of just 10. Both William Creek and the nearby station Homestead are served mail by the Coober Pedy Oodnadatta one-day mail run, a delightfully quaint bus that goes from Coober Pedy to William Creek to Oodnadatta on unpaved 4x4 roads twice a week as an official Australia Post contractor, but also offering spots for tourists who can experience the thrill of going over whatever gibber planes are. The issue of the largest privately owned piece of land raises the question, who privately owns it? Well, before the comments start going insane, I should point out that technically, Anna Creek Station is not privately owned, but privately held, under something called a pastoral lease, where the land is technically owned by the Australian government, and there are certain ways pastoralists are required to use it. Now that I haven't said anything in this video that will upset people, I can move on to telling you that for most of its history, Anna Creek was owned by Sir Sidney Kidman, who at the time of his death owned nearly 4% of Australia's mainland, and before you ask, yes, he is related to Antonia Kidman. Recently, S. Kidman & Co. was in the process of being sold to a joint venture between Hancock Prospecting and Shanghai Cred, but the government refused to let this part foreign ownership buy Anna Creek for national security reasons, given that Anna Creek lies within the Woomera Prohibited Area, home to the largest land weapons testing range in the world. Instead, the largest tract of land in the world is now held by Williams Cattle Company, who also owns 5 neighboring properties, giving them a total land ownership larger than Switzerland, and the official title of #1 owner of giant Australian cattle stations except for S. Kidman & Co., which still has slightly more. Look, to be honest, if you just finished watching this whole video about Australian cattle stations, you're kind of a nerd, which is great because we are too, and that's how we know that you'll love our sponsor, Brilliant. The whole purpose of Half is
Alright, bro, that was nice. They always got these smooth transitions to the sponsorships. But yeah, that was crazy. That's what it was. And I just couldn't imagine living in such a remote area. That's what was going through my head when we were watching that video. It's like, there is absolutely nothing out there. It's a different world. And the people living in caves and stuff. I'm sure we could find a video on that. But yeah, honestly, I was expecting there to be more cattle, but I guess that does make sense why it is. It's really not that shocking once you get into the details and stuff because everything's so sparse out there. So you need to have all the space just to have what isn't that many cattle. Like literally the King Ranch has more cattle with less space. But it makes sense because it's just desert. It's nothing out there. Crazy. And I wonder, like, as technology advances, that is so much space that could be utilized. So much space. Like, people are always saying, oh, we're getting overpopulated and stuff. I feel like that's going to be a space that's definitely used. Like, Australia, give it a couple centuries, I would say. Yeah, that space is going to fill up. Somehow, some way. But anyways, guys, that was a single farm that's bigger than 49 countries. Let me know what you thought about that video. I like this sense of humor. Very entertaining. And with that being said, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.